Hi everyone, welcome to Lanarkshire Family History Society's webinar for February. My name is Claire Wilson and I will be your host this evening. I would be obliged if you would just quickly turn off your cameras and your sound until the presentation's over. Hopefully, oh, wait a minute, I've got a couple of people coming in. Let's just let them in. Hopefully, if we get the cameras and the sound turned off until the presentation's over, we won't have any screens freezing or any background noise as well. Just to make sure everybody's... Yep. Hi everyone. Yeah, if you just turn off your sound for me, that would be brilliant. Thank you. So just quickly, pop a note into the chat box, tell us where you're watching from today. Before I start, there are a couple of events for your diary. Saturday the 16th of March, Lanarkshire Family History Society will be holding a local and family history fair at Summerlee Museum in Coatbridge. This starts at 10 AM and it runs till 4 PM, and there will be a variety of local organisations taking part. There will be a further event on the 6th of April, and that will be at the David Livingstone Centre in Blantyre, and it will be the same timings for that as well. I will remind you about it at next month's meeting as well. So our speaker this evening is Robert Freel of Stonehouse Heritage Group. Stonehouse Heritage Group, hi Robert. Stonehouse Heritage Group is a voluntary group that was set up in 1991, so it's been going for quite a wee while. The organisation has gone from strength to strength by collecting old photographs, transcribing records, as well as researching people of the parish and also those who served during World War I. Tonight, Robert's going to tell us a bit more about the group and also show us how to navigate their website, and hopefully going to share some little gems from the website as well. So Robert, it's lovely to have you along.
Thanks very much, Claire.
I'll hand over to you and let you fire away.
Okay, I'll just share my screen with you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, we've got somebody from Stonehouse.
Oh no. Right, is that us on, Claire?
Yep, that's you. Yep.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much for the invitation and for giving me a quick technology background on where I need to go, what I need to do. So good evening, everyone. My name's Robert Freel. I'm the chairman of Stonehouse Heritage Group. I'm not from Stonehouse originally. I'm what's termed as an incomer. So I don't profess to know everything about Stonehouse. But tonight I'm going to give you a whirlwind overview of the records that we hold and how we make them available to members of the public and members as well. For those of you that don't know Stonehouse, Stonehouse is a small village in South Lanarkshire. Population is probably around 7,500. It's located in the River Avon and the nearby Clyde Valley. Stonehouse was predominantly a farming, weaving, mining village. It tends to be more a commuter town now, with people moving in and commuting to, obviously, Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Ayrshire. For anyone wishing to read more on Stonehouse, I would recommend Robert Naismith's book, Stonehouse, Historical and Traditional. It was published in 1885. It's a bit dry, but it will give you a flavour of the social history at that time. There's quite a number of books published by John R. Young, who's published, I think it's 5 or 6 books in Stonehouse. You've also got Stenleck's book on bygone Stonehouse. And there's a small book of by John Melvin, the photographer, which shows slides of Stonehouse. So there is some reading information out there for you. The group was formed in 1991 following a donation of a large number of glass slides, and these glass slides depicted scenes around the village in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And from this donation, the group was formed and went on to gather information relating to Stonehouse. And that information was census information. And obviously in 1991, the access to the internet wasn't fully available. Then to get information, you had to obviously manually go into the libraries, etc., to pick up information. We've got school information, cemetery information, church information. So there's a fair bit of information on the website itself. The group don't have premises, but we have a small room in Stonehouse Lifestyles Hall that we man on a Saturday morning, or it can be opened by appointment. If you drop us an email, the email address is on the website. If you just Google Stonehouse Heritage, you should find the domain name. It should come up about first or second. In 2007, the group decided to make its information more readily available, and we ventured into the creation of a website. And from that, the site has went through various iterations. We're now on Mark 4, I think it is. And this site that we currently are on, it's created on WordPress. And tonight, what I'll do is I'll take you through the website contents and hopefully give you a flavour of what's available. So the website address is www.stonehouseheritage.co.uk. And hopefully you can see that on your screen. The website is split into two distinct separate areas. We've got a members area and a public area. Now, what I'll do is I'll go through the public area to let you know what information is available on the public side, and then I'll take you into the members area, which should show the sort of difference between the two. And the reason it's split between the two is that the website costs us money to host and to develop, and it was felt that if we have a members section, that any income that we gain from the members section would go towards the hosting and development of the website. The membership is £11 online, or if you stay locally or can come into Stonehouse and pay £10, it's £10 to a local member. And the reason for the difference is that if you pay online through PayPal, the group gets charged, I think it's 50 or 60 pence per transaction. So it's not a lot of money for a year's access to the website. So onto the website. So along the menu bar at the top, you'll see there's various headings from Stonehouse, and the drop-down menu covers buildings and landmarks, leisure activities, organisations, societies, transport and industry, and there's a miscellaneous. So what I'll do is I'll drop into each section and give you a flavour of some of the information that's available. I won't go into every section. If there's anything particular or questions you want to ask, you can maybe pop it into the chat and we'll see what we can go from there. So under the bridges and landmarks section, if I can stop the mouse, I will drop into streets and houses of Stonehouse. One of the things that we get asked a lot is from people who are researching a family tree, oh, do you have any pictures of a certain street or areas of Stonehouse? So what we've done is we've put together a list of the common streets that were asked for. So we've put it into alphabetical order. We have got some house names as well within there. And so if I take, for instance, the cross area and just click into the cross, it should hopefully bring up some photographs of the cross. So we'll get 28 photographs that covers the cross area. And some of these are either from publications or from the glass slides that we were donated. The photographs themselves will obviously give you an indication of the social history, the clothes that people were wearing, and what sort of the pavements and streets were like. So I'll just click through one or two just to give you a flavour of the different pictures. This particular one is looking up towards the Patterson Church and Trongate. Celebration at the cross area. Again, that's looking up from the cross up King Street towards Stonehouse Street. So if I go back and I drop into another street, Townhead Street. See, there's a number. That's a picture taken from looking over to the school around about 1900. And what I would say to people, if you have an interest in Stonehouse, or if you came from Stonehouse, if you have any photographs that you think would be of value to the site, drop us an email and we'll get in contact with you and we can arrange to either pick up the photographs, get them scanned and get them back to you. So as you can see, some early thatch roofs as well within Stonehouse of the time. Not a lot has changed. Lamp posts have changed, obviously, but most of the houses are still similar. And if I drop into cinemas, I'll give you an idea of the type of information that we're putting together. We normally have a small slideshow of pictures on the site, and then there's maybe a bit of information about the picture houses in general. This is one of the first, which was the palace. We've got a little bit of history of the palace and what it was about. Then we move on to the Rex, and obviously the Rex was owned by John Sheeran, and the sort of history of the Rex, it was the interior of the Homeric German liner that was used in the Rex, and some of the interior is still there today. Although we're now told it's sort of unsafe to access. It used to get opened up on Doors Open Day, and we used to take some people around just to see the interior. And what we've done is that we've got some newspaper cuttings of the cinema when it opened, and which emphasises what was being shown at the time. Right. So that's the sort of buildings and landmarks. We have a section on bridges, the lime kilns, ordnance survey benchmarks that are on marked on some of the bridges and buildings about the village, and there's a bit about the Alexander Hamilton Memorial park as well, and the other parks about Stonehouse. So if we move on to the leisure activity, mouse is just a bit too active for me. So the leisure activity, we've tried to include within this the bowling club, football, gala day, golf club, and for those that Stonehouse didn't know it had a golf club. Well, the golf club dates back to, I think it's 1906. Just wait for it to open up. So there we are, and it was located at just over the Lanarkshire Bridge at the bottom end of Stonehouse, where the park is. The actual golf course itself was designed or assisted on Willie Fernie, who was an open champion, assisted in the design. It was a 9-hole golf course, and we've got some newspaper cuttings of the time of when it was opened and who played. Unfortunately, just after the war, First World War, it closed, and it's never obviously came back in. It would be good to have a golf course, but the way the leisure at the moment in most of the county is that they're struggling for finances. The football, this is a page that's currently under construction, and what we're trying to do is show a brief history of the junior leagues, what teams we had within Stonehouse. We then jump into looking at each of the teams. We have some boys teams as well, and we have, which is still to be added to this page, is the number of famous footballers we've had that came from Stonehouse. So Stonehouse Royal was formed in 1887, disbanded 2 years later. Then we had Stonehouse Argyll and Albion Athletic, Stonehouse Athletic. They all sort of merged into the one team. And we have a few newspaper articles spread throughout the page about each of the teams as we go down it. So, and you'll see that there's quite a number of incidents where you can see that Albion there were caught playing a senior player when he should have been an amateur player. There was some issues on the crowd and some fights on the park as well between some of the players at that time. We then move on to, obviously, Stonehouse Violet is a more modern era, and we cover some of the league positions and details that the Violet had in their climb. And moving on to obviously the Scottish Junior Cup final. So again, a fair bit of information within the pages itself. And again, if you have any football information, or if anyone in your family played football, came from Stonehouse, let us know, and we can try to put something together and get it onto the website. So, jumping on from we went to organisations and societies. Now, we've tried to pick a number of the societies that we have information on. There is a number of societies that we don't have information on. We know that there was a cycling club. There was athletics clubs as well. So drop into the Scouts first. And again, this is one of the earlier photographs we've got of the Scouts. James Douglas Hamilton and Charlie Stevenson, who came from Stonehouse. Now, the information that we've got on the Scouts came from a 50th anniversary recount that was put together at the time. So again, I don't intend to read through any of it, just to give you a flavour of the information that's there. A bit about the 1936 New Scout Hall. We have documents within that gives you the Scout Hall article that we opening 36 and details of the opening. So again, there's fair bits of information if you're interested in the Scout movement about the Scouts within Stonehouse. And again, there's quite a number of images of local Scouts through different decades. We did have quite a number of beekeepers at one point in the parish. We have an Avondale. We currently have Avondale beekeepers, which have been restarted again. But you see from some of the early photographs there of the number of hives that the beekeepers had, and they used to take them off to obviously the heather in different parts around the county. One of the areas that we don't have a lot of information on is the Boys Brigade and Girls Brigade. We have a little bit, but again, it's trying to get information from leaders or past leaders on the organisation. We've got a few photographs of trips to Denmark, Amsterdam, of the Boys Brigade at the time. We have obviously some early photographs of the Life Boys group. Now, as I say, I'm just jumping over a couple of under each section. As I said, there's quite a lot for people to go through. Good for obviously during the winter when cold night and you have nothing better to do, is just to drop in to some of these. Right, transport and industry. If you're interested in occupations and professions within the village, we have pulled together some statistics and details of occupations that are detailed within census documents. So if we go into this document here, it will give you a summary of the Stonehouse occupations 1841 to 1891, and it covers any mention of the name, and you will see that there's in some instances we can't really make out the first word. So you can see there's quite a number of different occupations. Buyer maid, I'm assuming that's the maid that cleared out the buyer servant. So there's quite a number of pages, as you see it there. Flesher, which was the butcher, name for the butcher. Quite a You can see here number of handloom weavers, obviously the weaving element coming through in 1841, 146, 216, then 1851, then it sort of drops. So you get a mixed fabric, whereas they concentrated on just cotton or silk. So quite a fair number of pages there on occupations that were recorded within the census information. And again, similar, we've got an employment breakdown, number of residents. We've got some details of coal mining statistics. A document here, it's memories of Harlan McFarlane, who was a local coalman. Those in education and teaching, weaving, farming. So we've tried to split that out. If anybody's interested in obviously having a look at that, if they're doing any background information on Stonehouse, it's pretty handy. George Wilson's was one of the largest employers within the area. So you can see there's some statistics. They built 171 houses at St Leonard's in East Kilbride, 370 houses at Cumbernauld, and 260 at Rob Royston, 1946. We've got some invoices and details of some where they diversified in the funeral market coffins. We have a few leaflets within that. We also have some memories by Tom Sorby, who worked at Wilson's. And we have 21 photographs covering Wilson's workers. Some of the photographs, we don't have names for some of the people there. Some we do. If you make contact with us, we can let you know who's who. And again, mining was played a large part within Stonehouse. We have got a section on mining within it. We give a bit of the geology of the area. Some of the mines and mine owners, where seams worked, and then we've got some details on each of the mines themselves, with some photographs and some cuttings of accidents that happened in the pits at the time. But we've tried to separate them into where it's recorded, where the accident was, Canderside or Overwood or Kittymuir. So if any of the family worked within any of the mines, then there's a chance that some information on the mine will be on our pages. And in the miscellaneous section, we have, if I can just, it's music and poetry. So it's music and poetry that's been written by people in the village. We've still got a few bits and pieces to add to this. We actually were just donated a book on Monday night that was being thrown out, and it's from an old headmaster in the early 1900s, and his poems are poetry. So that will be added possibly later on this year. And so if we jump on to obviously the history section, is we will find that again the menu system is exactly the same. It's 5 separate areas covering different elements. The Act of the Union there was an address made to Parliament in 1706 by residents of Stonehouse who had concerns about the Act of the Union at that time. So within that section, we have a summary of the address that was made, the list of signatures of people that made them. We have a small section on the Stonehouse Covenanters. So there's just a little bit about the Covenanters and details of some of the known Covenanters from Stonehouse or the area round Stonehouse. Now, Robert Naismith mentions and dedicates 18 pages on the Covenanters and mentions a few. However, a number were added following some research and some news cuttings in the National Newspaper Archive. So we'll put that together. As we gather information, it will be added to the site as well. We have, obviously, for those who know Stonehouse, we were proposed to become a new town like East Kilbride and Cumbernauld. However, it didn't happen. Turf was cut, there was a number of houses built, and then it was closed down. So we have a bit of information about the new town, what happened. We've got an extract on, that was published at the time, Stonehouse, an obituary for a new town, gives it a little bit of information. We have a few maps and details that we keep in a resource room that are there for anybody who would like to have a look at them. We will, if we have the technology, try to get the maps uploaded, but some of them are rather large for us to do that. Places of worship and cemeteries. We tend to list a little bit overview of the churches that were in Stonehouse, and here we can see it's a picture of an old postcard that shows the 4 churches that were within Stonehouse at the one time. And we give a little bit of information about the churches now. In the members section, there's a lot more information within each of these, and you'll see that when I drop into the members section, what we have. So we give timelines within this page, details. In the member section, we've got pictures of some of the ministers, details of some of the centenary booklets. So these, as I say, this is all in the public section, and it's free to access. Again, we've got details on Stonehouse Cemetery, the Glebe and St Ninian's Kirkyard as well. So again, slideshow within the page. We have gravestone inscriptions. Those are contained within our members section. And again, I'll cover that when I cover the members section. Right, family histories and people profiles. Well, within this section, we were looking to develop profiles on local people or on any families who wanted to put together some details on their families. We have a number of family history charts or research that were done on some families that we keep on in our filing cabinets. We haven't managed to get them onto the website yet, but eventually we will get those. But if anybody's interested in trying to find out any families, drop us a text or an email. We'll check manually what files we have available and we can send them on to people. In memorial cards, we have a selection of different cards, roughly that runs from 1888. And what we've done is that obviously in memorial cards were a small commemoration of a deceased person. It was popular in the Victorian era, and it ranged from a simple design, sometimes had pictures of the deceased person, words, a Bible verse, or a prayer. So if I pick a couple here, Jesse Borland, there we are, and it's just saying that died here this afternoon at 1:30 Jesse Borland in their 22nd year. Obviously, young person. That was 1877. Each of these you can access. This is one of our World War I soldiers who was killed, Robert Russell, and it's a memorial card. Unfortunately, that's the only picture we have of Robert is from the card. Again, you can see it's a picture of Frank Struthers. No other information but a picture on the card. So there's a number of cards that we've got here. We had some cards that we had on some Straven residents. We passed those up to Straven for their records. People profiles. Again, we have split this into alphabetical order, and I just take A to J first. And if two Anderson brothers here, John Anderson. A little bit biography of John, who obviously moved to Australia, an academic, a fair bit of information published on him. William Anderson. So again, I would emphasise if anybody has got any information on a relative that came from Stonehouse and has got a profile, we can add this to our website. More recently, we've got a newspaper article that covers life of Andrew Clark. First registrar of Scotland, Andrew Fruit, was born in Stonehouse. You'll find that he's mentioned in the General Register of Scotland GROS site. Alec Clark here was Andrew's brother. He was involved in setting up I think it was the culture within Glasgow. Again, a little bit on Jean Leishman, who was a teacher within Stonehouse, worked with the Hamilton Advertiser, lived till she was 106. One of a number of residents within Stonehouse that reached the good old age of 106. So I won't drop into any others, but that gives you a flavour of what we're trying to achieve on the website. Under media, what we've tried to do. Oh, I missed out education, sorry about that. One of the things that most people are interested in is school photographs. And what we have on the site is about 250 to 260 school photographs. Now, again, this is, I'll re-emphasise, it's the free part of the site, and the school photographs, what we've done is we've tried to put them into decades. Apart from pre-1920, we've just lumped everything that was pre-1920 within to that, and some of them, the photographs within that section go back to 1888. But if you're interested in trying to find out if there's a person that you or granny went to school, then you can click into, say, the 1940s. And it brings up a table that if you put in, say, the word Sorby, it brings up all the people that we have named in the pictures called Sorby. Now, what you can do on the photographs, you can actually take the photograph, say, I'm interested, no, that's my Uncle Willie Sorby. Oh, I think he went to school with somebody else that was a relation. You can take the photograph number, which is SHG 4001. You can put 40-0001, and it will just bring up that photograph, and it will tell you everybody within that photograph. It will tell you, obviously, the position in the photograph as well. What you've got to remember is that it's not 100%. It's based on, obviously, local people or people contacting us with a photograph and telling us who's in the photograph. There's some people we don't know, and you'll notice there's quite a number of photographs as you go through that we don't have any names for. If you have any names, please contact us. Tell us who's missing. Tell us the name, position in the photograph. We'll get it added to the photograph and put it through. If you are searching for anybody, be aware that if they went to school in 1945, 46, they could also be in the 1950s section as they went through school. So if you can't find anybody, it could be we don't have anybody named, or it could be in a different decade. Just bear that in mind when you're searching the school photographs. So as you can see there, we go 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. And we actually go up to 2000, and we have some Lanarkshire Academy as well, pupils who went to Lanarkshire Academy. And it's pretty comprehensive in the amount of photographs that we have. Some of the comments we got, our feedback that we've had from people was, oh, I just like to go in and look at photographs. So what we've done is we created a media section, and we decided to put the album together. So under media, we have got photographs, videos, and audio. So under the photographs is we've categorised them into albums. You can go in to look at buildings and landmarks, gala days, leisure and recreation, school photographs by decade, transport and industry, streets, Stonehouse, and some miscellaneous. One of the recent ones we've just added to this was we got some photographs of the winter in I think it was either 39-40 or 47-48, which gives an idea of the snow in Stonehouse. So you can see it pretty high in some of the roads. That's the road up to the Brew. We have some audio recordings that we've done on some local residents a number of years back. I won't play any of them. We've got Hugh Burns, Jean Leishman, Mary Tennant, Jenny Bunge, Tom Sorby. We've got some recordings of the pipe band. So again, if you have any recordings of any of your family or whatever, we're interested. And it's the same with a video channel as well. We've got a number of videos that have been added to the site. And again, we'll categorise them into various albums. We come on to the members only section. Again, the information is similar in the way it's laid out. And if I drop into World War One, what we have is we have a montage of men that we know served in World War One, and we have a number of categories that people can drop into. If you're looking to see a full list of known enlistees from World War One, this will bring up a table, and it will give the surname, forename, rank. Now, within the public section, we might only get to the name and the regiment, whereas within this section we have quite a fair bit of information. Now, it's a little bit tricky to manoeuvre because you've got to scroll to the bottom of the page and scroll right along to get information on each man. We are looking at upgrading the plugin that will allow you to scroll each line. Hopefully, once we get the costs sorted out on that side, we'll be able to get that implemented and you'll be able to scroll horizontally on each man. And you can see there's a fair bit of information there. And if you note there was 322 entries. So that's 322 men that we know enlisted within World War One and served. And some of this information came from various plaques in the churches, where there was when you knocked down the old jailhouse, there was a couple of books that detailed enlistees from Stonehouse. So we've got the details there. But as some of you will know, that gathering information on World War One is difficult. Lots of records were lost. But it's amazing how information turns up. If I go into the fatalities, we've got Alpha Index, ATG, KTZ, and then we've got a number of men who returned home as well. So if we go into each category, you can see here, and again, the scroll along the top is those who were killed. And if you pick a man, Robert Brownlee, within the section, it'll tell you what information we have on the man. We don't have a lot. We've got his medal card. There wasn't any service records available, and some details on the burial. James Hamilton. We've just actually received more information on James. That's one in memorial card that's still to be added. And you can see there we have a little bit further information on James. And as I say, this information is all available to paid members. Where there's a newspaper notice indicating a death, we've managed to gather that. If there was a notification of a newspaper indicating he was wounded in service, and we've got that, it would be against the man's record as well. And it's similar to those who returned home. We've got information and pictures of men that returned home. Let's see. Edward Clark, we have obviously a medal card. again, those who returned home is, you can see the scroller going along the top of men who returned. We actually just added this man 2 weeks ago. We actually got a photograph of him serving abroad. So, as I say, it's still an ongoing work in progress as we gather information. It's there, but there's over 300 names with maybe about 250, 280 that's got information behind that. We have a couple of PowerPoints that were done by one of our members. Those can be clicked into. We have photographs, survivors, fatalities, and some miscellaneous of people that we don't know. Again, if you happen to be in and you see somebody, oh, I recognise that person, let us know. And there's a number of photographs in there that have been dropped to us. And it's a shame we actually have a couple of boxes in our resource room of families that we don't know who they are. They were just dropped into us to say, these are family members that we don't know who they are. So we've got some of those on file that, again, they'll be posted up as unknown families that people can go through. I'm sorry it's been a whirlwind taking you through the website, but hopefully that maybe gives you a bit of indication of what we've got. Oh, one of the other, while I'm in members area, is schools. For those that are interested in school information and what it can throw you, is we actually have on the website school admissions records. So we have the actual registers on the site. These have been transcribed into a spreadsheet. You can type in a name again, and it will tell you the people, parent, first name, second name, the address where they stayed, and right at the end, reason for leaving school. Although there's nothing recorded in these, is sometimes you can pick up a little snippet. If the family moved to a different area, it might say, oh, moved to Aberdeen, went to America, moved to New Zealand. If that's recorded, at least it will give you a step for a hint on when they moved. It also gives you the date or the admission date that they went into school. Headmaster's logbook. Again, we have a flip book of this. You can page your way through that to read it. It can be a bit dry, but it gives you a good social history of what was happening around about the time in the schools. There's a couple of things that, you know, I think it was in 1904 or 1906 when it's recorded in the school that we had General Booth from the Salvation Army come to Stonehouse with 5 cars with his members, and they held a service in the church. And that was confirmed in the headmaster's diary. So lots of information. Apologise, I could run on for a lot longer. Hopefully that covers most. MD wants to ask any questions or drop me an email, by all means. So thanks for listening, and I'll hand you back to Claire.
Thanks very much, Robert. If you want to just unshare your screen.
There we go.
I think, for me, see when you showed us the photographs, I was really surprised at how clear some of them were.
Yeah. So the school photographs we've tried to get as, and some of them we don't have the originals, some we do have the originals. Some of them have been cleaned up.
I know some of them are really, really good quality, because I find sometimes you get them, and because of the age of them, they're maybe a bit grainy, or there's, but yeah, I mean, some of them just look fabulous on the website, they really do. So does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Robert, or do you have any links to Stonehouse and you've got any queries? Now's your opportunity. I've got Maureen says, excellent presentation, Robert. Lovely to see familiar faces and photos and names. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Maureen.
It is good work. I mean, the amount of stuff that you've actually got on there is absolutely out of this world. It's been a passion project for a long time, I would say.
The thing is, we don't have premises. We have limited access, so it's trying to make available what information we have, put it out there. We know there's lots of other information we could put out there. It takes time to get into a format to put it on the website. It takes us money to do that. Unfortunately, the bigger or more information you've got on, the heavier it gets and the slower it gets. It's one of these things. But you try to put as much information as possible out there.
Yeah. Elizabeth, were you going to ask something? Because I noticed you'd unmuted.
I was going to ask quickly how far back the school records went. That was one thing. It looked like about 1880, 1881.
1880, that's all we've got. And what those records came from a skip. They were thrown out.
Oh my.
And they were salvaged, and we've got the original record. So if anybody wants to actually see the record or get a photograph of a section of where their family went to school, we can do a photograph and send it to them. Or if you stay local, you can drop in and have a look at it. It's what we say is let us know, because we've had a number of, in the past, a number of people attending or dropping us an email saying, I'm in Stonehouse tomorrow or the next day, and unfortunately somebody's not available to open up. We had some visitors last year. They actually gave us a bit of notice, managed to get one of the churches opened up for them. As it turned out, they had relations who were elders within the church. We saw the record of the elders. So what we say, if you're coming to Stonehouse, give us a little bit notice. We actually some people who have come over from America or New Zealand. They've been staying in Edinburgh. They've had the services of some researchers, and the researchers have contacted us and made arrangements to come over to Stonehouse. So give us a little bit notice, and we'll try to do our best for you.
Yeah, that's good. Could I ask one more quick question? Just at the start, you mentioned a book called Stonehouse Historical and Traditional, but I didn't catch the author's name.
Robert Naismith. I think there's electronic copies within the
online, but
online. Yes, yeah, and you can pick them up on eBay and things like that as well.
Okay, but the last name is Naismith.
Naismith.
Oh, Naismith. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just ask something before I run? Sorry, I need to run. Rob, I found it fascinating. I was an ex subscriber. I've resubscribed again recently. I've put a big note in the comments. I've tracked my family back to 1699. Thank you to your website in Stonehouse, and I've got many family members in Stonehouse. I have a Facebook page. I'm a Pollock by ancestral traits, and if people want to have a wee look at it, it's free as well. But large numbers of them were connected to Stonehouse, multiple family names. Obviously, they married into. So, but your site has been instrumental, helped me find most of the Stonehouse ones. So thank you, Rob. And I would love to drop in someday. I've got family up in Watson, so.
Yeah, as I say, that if you've got photographs of family or photographs of even streets, we're interested.
Right. I don't have a lot of those images, but I've tracked the families and I've got all their certificates on that Facebook page that are free for them to have a look at if they want them.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Take care, folks. Bye.
You say Watson, Irene, do you mean what? Is there a Watson near Stonehouse?
Watson Farm.
Watson Farm.
Oh, right, okay, because there's a Watson in Airdrie. I just wondered.
Are you related to Jamisons?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Liam and I know the family.
You know the family, yeah. My aunt lives in one of the small holdings as well, but we're all Pollock descendants. They are as well. Small world. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
It's nice to know that the website's obviously working, and I think that's the thing as well, is like you're actually bringing forward records that, you know, it's not like your birth, marriage and death. You're getting, you know, school records and other records that perhaps, you know, are kind of not checked as often, and add all that context to your family. So fabulous. Does anyone else have any questions? Jean, I noticed you've turned your camera on. How are you? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm fine. I've had a lot of trouble with scammers and phone problems and internet, so I've not done as much as I hoped to have done. But I ran off before I came on 8 pages of people who live in Stonehouse
Wow.
who are on my family. Now, I don't know a lot about them, and I'm not. I can't pick immediately which family they are, but mainly Russell is where I started with my family tree, and then there's Borland and Miller and Pollock.
Lots of Miller, Borlands, Russells.
Yeah. So I think there's quite a lot of folk. So I'll be interested to get a move on with that now.
That's fab. And I mean, I've placed, for anyone that's interested, I've actually placed the link for the website into the chat box, so you can go and have a look. And if anyone, you know, wants to contact me, if they're looking for Rob's email address, I can certainly pass that on as well. Nora, I noticed that you've turned your camera on. Do you have a question?
Yes, I wondered how far out you go in the surrounding villages, Sandford and what do you call that other place, the Glassford. Glassford. These places. I actually visited some years ago and met you, Robert.
Yes.
Looking for something. So I'm still looking, always digging. So
well, John Young, I think, has just got a new book out. It's on Glassford.
But do you have much more in the way of like the people? That's a wonderful website where you can look at the deaths or they came home from the war names. But are they only for Stonehouse, or do you have some of the Glassford?
They are for Stonehouse. I think I have an Avondale record that may cover Glassford. I'll have a wee look at what I've got, Nora, and if I've got anything, I'll send you some details.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yep, and I would check Lanarkshire Family History's website as well, because I think they've got some publications on Glassford as well.
Yeah.
Try everywhere. So Louise has said that her ancestors were from Stonehouse, and it was the Train family. Is that a name that you recognise, Robert?
I don't recognise it. I don't know whether Mr. Money, who's a Stonehouse resident, would maybe know them. Trains, Jim?
Did you say frame?
Train as in...
With a T or an F?
A T. T-R-E-N. Okay. Louise?
Transport.
I can certainly have a look at, see if I've any searches have been done on the Train family. It's not a name I've come across, but then again, maybe somebody else in the organisation has done something in the past.
Well, one of the farms, it keeps coming up, a lot of the OPR, OPR records are suggesting it's Yonderton Farm or Yondertown. It sometimes spells it as. It's not sure if that kind of still exists.
No.
So they moved from, they were kind of round about that area, the Trains and the Allens, the late 1700s, early 1800s, and then took a look from there.
Right, I'll have a wee look here. Certainly.
And also,
What's
the
the Allens?
records, are they under Stonehouse or?
No.
No. Do you have any idea, Claire, where that would?
I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously, if it's OPR death records, they're very, very scant.
Dalkshire Parish Church has some records.
Right. Aye. I can't tell you off the top of my head what Stonehouse is like for death records. It can be hit and miss from parish to parish. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd need to check. Lanarkshire's website, I would check that and see if they've got any publications for the various parishes.
One of the areas I didn't cover, and I realise it was a whirlwind, is in the members section, we've got the old cemetery. Now, there's no records of that cemetery. So what happened was the cemetery was mapped, and we recorded any inscriptions on the stones that were upright. And over the years, we actually got money and we put some of the stones back up, but some of the stones were too far gone. The sandstone had deteriorated too much. So on the website under St Ninian's Kirkyard, we have what inscriptions we've recorded, and we've got a picture of the gravestone as well that you can go in. You can actually go in on the search bar and type in a name, and if that name's on any of the stones, it will come up.
And I briefly saw the membership price. I know you said started by the time I had joined, but is that a yearly membership or?
It's a yearly membership. It's
Right.
it's £11 online.
Right, super.
So it's not like Scotland's People where it's £6 a credit or 6 credits.
The other thing you could check, Louise, is the OS name books on Scotland's Places website. So you can actually go through the parish of Stonehouse and look at all. That'll give you lists of all the farms.
Yeah.
So you might find it in there, and then obviously the National Library of Scotland's maps. If you look for a map round about the time period that the family were there, you might be able to find where it was as well.
Right, and I do see one on Google Maps. Just didn't know if it's the same kind of place because it doesn't seem to be Stonehouse to me.
Yeah. It could be there's been a boundary change. But yeah, I would say the OS name books on Scotland's Places is a good start, and it sometimes lists who the occupiers were as well. So that would be a good place to start. Right, Jean had read it. Barbara has asked if she was coming out to visit you, Rob, what would the transportation be like going to Stonehouse? Is there links from Glasgow trains?
Glasgow train to Lark Hall. I have in the past, if somebody's contacted me, I've went and picked some people up at Lark Hall and taken them up for records. It's not an issue.
What a guy. That's gone above and beyond, doesn't it?
That £11 a year is quite a bargain, I'm thinking now.
I would say so. Murray's saying, shouldn't many of these original records go to the archives for preservation? Do you have a plan, a long-term plan? I mean, obviously things change within organisations. What would the plan be?
Well, and some of the, let's say, school records, is who do you put them to? Do you put them to South Lanarkshire? Do you put them to Scotland Street School? It's establishing who would take them, who's going to publish them, how accessible will they be? What we have done in some of the school headmasters' diaries, we have actually rebound some of the books. In some cases, it was a mistake to rebound them. we should have actually scanned them first, then rebound them. But we have 1 or 2 books that we need to cost to get them. And I think you were at the seminar that we were at, Claire, with the conservators who had indicated it would be worthwhile having a look at that. But again, it's down to cost and whether we can do it. And it'll be the same for any other places. Is will we be able to do that within their resources?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I've got a couple of projects that I operate as well. And I mean, even when you think about your own family history research, I suppose you're sort of doing it with the kind of thought in your head that what happens to it when, 1, you either finish it or you're no longer interested, or 2, you know, you're
well, written into our constitution is that if the group folds, they will approach other like-minded organisations. We're members of Lanarkshire Heritage Forum. We would ask other members of the forum, would they be interested in taking on the records? The last resort would be to South Lanarkshire Council, Scotland Street School, or something like that. There is a plan there.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. I mean, I've kind of made arrangements for some of the projects that I do that it would go to either Lanarkshire Family History Society or North Lanarkshire Archives, and I think it is important that you sort of make that plan and make sure that that plan is known, because you know the worst case scenario is somebody comes along and goes, we're not interested in this, you know, what do we do with it? So yeah, the other thing, like Michelle has said, she's had a look through the website before, found it very interesting. She'll probably join to see if she can find anything further on her small elusive Barton family. I don't know if Barton's a name that you've came across.
I can't say I have, but depends. You know, some of the records we've got on the website don't go back any further than 1830, 1840. We have a 1696 index, but it's only an index and it covers mainly farms in the area.
Yeah. I mean, you've always got that option moving forward to look at what records are sitting in archives, you know, early, you know, even the pre-1855 stuff, and say, right, can we get copies of it from the archives and can we then index it? Because I think, you know, even for archives that don't have the budget to do things like that, it's beneficial to get that out there as well. Pat's saying, very interesting, thank you, Rob. Her link is with Moran and Gilmer families who moved from the 1870s to 1910 between Stonehouse, Larkhall and Straven before moving on to Hamilton and Bothwell.
Yeah, I think I've got a few searches done on Gilmore's at one time. Again, it depends on how you spell Gilmore. Is it O-U-R or?
O-U-R, yeah. And then Bill has said the 3C bus to Straven from Glasgow stops at Stonehouse. There you go.
It certainly does.
I've got to write that down for future reference. So that's all the questions at the moment, unless anyone else has anything they want to ask Rob in person. No? Good. Rob, thank you very much. It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Before we finish up, where am I? The next webinar will be on Thursday, the 14th of March. I can't believe I'm talking about March already. The speaker will be Paul Archibald of Lanark Museum, who will provide a presentation on medieval Lanark. You can register for that now. Let me just paste the details into the chat box. Too many files open to do. There we go. You can register for that now. If you're not a member of Lanarkshire Family History Society, then why not join now? Membership starts at £10 for the e-membership. You receive 3 journals per year, monthly e-news, and also use of the Society's Research Centre in Motherwell. The new website is up and running, so if you get a minute, go and take a look and check out the wealth of publications that are available on there as well. So if there's no other questions, then I think that's us for tonight. Again, Rob, thank you very much.
Can I ask you one thing, Claire? Can you print out the charts?
I can save it, yeah.
Thank you very much, Rob and Claire.
Thank you. That
Thank
was really,
you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next month. Take care.